Hello, mighty friends. I'm your host, Maria Cecilia, and welcome to the Mighty Precious Girl podcast, where we share ways to inspire the soul and grow the mind and strengthen the body, so we can all achieve our greatness set by God and be courageous to defend all things precious.
Learn to talk.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Today, episode number 15. This Little Light of Mine, a Personal Story. Thank you once again for being here. I do appreciate that you're here, and I'm very grateful if you could share on any social media or all of them. And again, I would be just very grateful. So I want to talk about this little light of mine. It's a little personal story. So yesterday I sent out an email, or actually this morning, I wrote it last night, to a group of women who are discerning if they want to join me on a challenge. I spoke about this last episode, the 33 Days Merciful Love Challenge. And I've been writing them emails trying to encourage them to join me and inform them of the things we're going to have. It's all new, all improved. But I started to write a email, like I was saying, about how did I get here? How did I get to this 33 Days Merciful Love Challenge, a whole body wellness journey? So, sometimes life is just amazing in the ways events shape you. And there are some events that have shaped us. And now that I think about it, when I start telling you my story, you'll see. This month is also, there's so many things to this month. There's like Pregnancy Infant Loss Awareness Month, and it's also Bullying Awareness Month. And when I was thinking back, as I was writing my email about giving you a more personal glimpse to me, I recall that I have been bullied, and I was just wondering why. And back then, bullying was even worse, but it just wasn't given a name. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked here. So I started the email letting the women know that, I'm just a stay-at-home mom, just living in the heat of Mississippi. I mean, right now it's like 65, so that's like winter for us. I have 5 living children, and I have 5 saints. And you know my story. You can look in one of the episodes that gives you really in-depth about my story of my miscarriages and losses as well. But, so I explained that, and I homeschool my children, 4 girls and a boy. I have a senior all the way down to a 3-year-old. So I go into that. And then I start that, I grew up the very athletic girl. I mean, I played college soccer. Even after college, I played some semi-professional. I literally played college soccer until the day I moved from South Florida all the way to Delaware. I played in the beach. I played indoors. I played in tournaments. I mean, it was a constant thing. I loved being physically active. It was my language. You see, when I came to the United States, and so I explained in the email, when I came to the United States, I was about 5 years old. It was 1980, and I didn't speak a word of English. Okay. See, my parents are Cuban Americans. They left Cuba right about when Castro showed up, and they moved to the United States. They stayed a few years here. They had a few more children. Then my father got a job in Costa Rica, and that's where me and my younger sister were born. There's 7 of us. And we lived there until about the time I was about 5 years old, and we moved to Miami. And I mentioned that we moved to Miami during one of the worst times of the history, I believe, in the history of public school system in Miami. especially for somebody not knowing English, because they did not teach phonics at that time. They were on this kick called whole language BS. Excuse my language, but it sure was BS. As a teacher, as somebody who got a degree in early child education and development, that was a bunch of BS for sure. So here I am, not speaking English, not being taught how to read properly in English or even to speak properly in English. And so they assumed that, well, the child can't really read and can't really speak well, she has a disability. So let's just mark her with that. She also has on top of that disability. Yes, I have a learning disability, but I think everybody has a type of learning disability. We all have some type of disability. But again, you're talking about in a school system where you're labeled and that's it. And once you're labeled, they assume if you're disabled, you have a learning disability in one aspect, it should probably be all aspects. So I remember being mainstreamed into a classroom, but then we were removed for other things, like, I don't know, just about everything. And it was just really frustrating because my mind was going faster than what my language could express. And so it was a very harsh time. And as you can imagine, I was bullied for my accent. I was bullied because I came from a large Catholic family. We had 7 children. I mean, it is just still to the day, it wasn't very known. I can remember all the nasty jokes. And as well, I was bullied because of my learning disability. So that was, it was rough. And I at the moment, don't recall how I felt, but I just remember things of, that, things would be okay, I guess. But I wasn't necessarily ever pushed to find my greatness. I was just left alone to be okay. Sorry, I'm having my cup of coffee and I needed it. And so, going back, but then the one thing, like I said, my one language was that I was very athletic. I could kick. I could kick. And I was a rare left footer on the soccer team. So if you know anything about the sport, you have somebody who plays on the left, somebody plays on the right, you have a center, those are usually forwards trying to make goals. Typically, it's very hard for somebody who's playing on the left to take shots with their left foot, because typically not many people are left footer shooters. So you're taking a shot with the right foot, and so you're leaning more towards the middle, which more middle means there's more defenders. So your shots, it's a little harder. But when you're a left footer and your foot's on the outside of the defenders, now that is amazing. Trust me. Okay, so I'm tooting my horn here for a little bit. So I was a left footer. I could run. I was always called the deer. I did all sports, you name it. Tennis, soccer, baseball, basketball, track and field. I broke records for my school in certain aspects of track and field that somebody of my short height doesn't usually do. Long jump. Usually you think long jump are these math women with long legs. That was me, but I didn't have long legs. I just knew I could count. I knew the count, and I had the force in my leg. I did the shot put, running, 440, 220. So I'm just trying to give you this picture of me, that my language, the way I was able to speak to these foreigners, for me, was through my sports, and they wanted me on their team. They didn't want me on their spelling one, but they wanted me on their kickball team. They wanted me on their soccer team. Boys, I would play soccer all the time with boys, and they were like, I didn't care. I just knew this is my language. I finally got to speak it and not be afraid. That's on the field. Off the field was a whole different story. So I kept my language, and I exceeded it in sports. Like I said, I exceeded it, and I loved it, and I got to play soccer in college and just have that identity that I was good at something like this. It really was something that saved me and my faith from the darkness, I said, of society trying to bring us down. But then what happened? Life happened. I met my husband at 25. I got married at 26. I had my first child at 27. I had my first miscarriage at 27. And then I had another child. And then I had another child. And then at one time there was 3 kids in diapers. And I had 4 kids, but 3 kids in diapers was like, I loved the madness. I did. I grew up in madness. I grew up, the youngest of 7. So my siblings had already children. I just loved children. I loved it. But I didn't realize that in the midst of all this chaos and craziness, that I neglected one thing. I neglected myself. I neglected my love language of being a healthy, fit person. Again, like I said, guilt, and then the chocolate came, the tiresome, and then having a baby at 40, a crying baby at 40, a very needy baby at 40, and the list goes on. And I started to notice there just was a little light just about to be gone. My light inside of me was just barely hitting. And so I was just taken and didn't know what to do or where to go. Felt guilty of I want to take care of myself. I want to run. I want to do a 5K, but who's going to watch the kids? And, it was all this stuff that just in me that just couldn't get out. And so, but then the year of mercy came. And actually it was towards the end of the year of mercy. I was introduced to this book, the book that we're going to use for our 33 days Merciful Love. And it just really blew my heart and my soul and my mind away. It just blew me away. And I remember, at the Year of Mercy, there was doors of mercy. There was churches that had doors of mercy. And if you went through those doors of mercy during the Year of Mercy, you had a special indulgence. So being the last minute kind of person I am, it was the last Friday of the Year of Mercy. And I just finished the 33 days. And my heart was just bursting. And I told the kids, okay, we're going to find a church. Actually, we're going to find a church. It's called Divine Mercy Church. And we're going to go there and we're going to walk through the door of mercy. Sure enough, in New Orleans, I found a church. We're going. It's a Friday. Traffic is horrific. I thought we're never going to get there before they close. And it was just, but God and behold, we literally walked through those doors at 3 o'clock in the hour of mercy. And I can't explain to you. I have never been the same since those doors. I cannot explain that part. And I knew what God had been trying to tell me for so long. That in all my weakness, and all my flaws, and even all my gifts, and all of who I am, that He had constant this light burning for me, this merciful love burning for me, and that He wanted me to have that same love for myself, because He knew that I couldn't shine that light or pour that cup if it was empty, if the light was gone. And He knew that I would embrace this desire to share the message of mercy to moms, to show them that I found Him. I found God's mercy in my self-care, and that the world, you and I, can keep finding Him there. That it's nothing to be ashamed of. There's no guilt. There's nothing in finding God in your self-care. Like I said, it turned my world upside down. I knew that God really needed me to take this challenge and take it to the world out there. This is like the third challenge we have done. Many times it hadn't gone through. Many times things happened with email access and stuff like that. It wasn't as well prepared as I am today because of the last year. My transformation growth is just keeps getting bigger and stronger. And I have this passion and love for life and for girls who were like me, being bullied just because they were different, and nobody told them that they were mighty and precious. Yes, my parents were very good, loving parents, but they didn't speak the language. They didn't know the system. They didn't know the culture. They just assumed we were in good hands in school. We just weren't a communicative family. And they just thought, oh, they told us at school, don't speak to her in Spanish. Oh, they told us, don't push her. It's just good enough. She got a C. And they just let that be. But I know more. I know better. And I'm gracious to God that in this 2 years, that I've grown so much that I can bring down to my children. I have changed my language of how I speak to them. How I speak to them. Thanks goodness to a book called Growth Mindset. That just really changed everything as well. And there's just in that mercy that he was so merciful for me. He has given me this eagerness, this passion to just keep bringing you and me together in the midst of our dirty dishes, our clothes. Oh, clothes! How many clothes you have in the baskets? And the craziness and the driving and all this ugliness that's out there, that in the midst of all that we can keep choosing joy. We can keep choosing ourselves. And that's great. And that's fine, because in we that keep choosing ourselves, our children see that, and they will choose themselves. And they will choose themselves to see themselves so precious, so mighty, so courageous, that they will fulfill God's greatest desire for them. That's what he wants. He did not create us for nothing. He created us for greatness, because he created us in his image. And finding that little light is hard at times. But finding it and keeping it before it burns out, even if it's a light so small, and you just add fuel to it every day, a little bit here, a little bit of there, and you'll see the light just flickering higher and higher. Not on our own merits, of course not, but on the merit of God's grace and his mercy in us. And today is the feast of St. John Paul II, a pope that I grew up with, a spiritual father that I still remember his funeral and how I cried. We woke up at 4 a.m. to watch, and it was just one of the most saddest events in my life. But he talks about that light, and I wanted to read you a little bit. He says, "Light your lamps. Do not be content with anything than the highest ideals. Do not let yourself be dispirited by those who are delusional with life and have grown deaf to their deepest and most authentic desires of their heart. You are right to be disappointed with a hollow entertainment and passing fades, and with aiming too little in life. If you have a desire for the Lord, you will steer clear of mediocrity and that's being widespread in society. You are the light of the world. For those who first heard Jesus as we are the light of the world." I love that. I love how he keeps saying in the beginning. He says, "You're right to." He says, "Do not let yourself be dispirited by those who are delusional with life and have grown deaf to the deepest and most authentic desires of their hearts." Wow. Don't let anybody stomp on your light because you want greatness. You want greatness because you are loved so great. You want greatness because he chose you to create you in his image, so you can burn this light for him and bring his kingdom on earth now. Don't be content with anything than the highest ideals. Don't let yourself be dispirited by those who delusionize with life and have grown deaf to the deepest and most authentic desires of their hearts. Well, I've gone a little over this time, but I hope you find something here that will inspire you one way or the other. And if you can, I would be grateful if you share this. So, my friends, thank you for listening today. And to learn more about our program that empowers and equips girls of all fitness levels, find us at mightypreciousgirls.com. If you would like to know more about our 33 Merciful Love Challenge, you can find us on Facebook, Catholic Fit Moms for Life, as well on our website, mightypreciousgirls.com. We have a link there about our programs, and one of them is Mother's Mercy, 33 Days Merciful Love, a whole body wellness journey. Until then, remember, be kind, be brave, and save lives.